Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I hope you're all doing very well. Let's get that shoulder itch straight away. Today's video is a video that I did last year. I never checked in with you guys about that video last year, so this is also a check-in from this video last year, but it's my sort of take on New Year's resolutions. So last year I didn't make any New Year's resolutions in January. I sort of let it sit for a while, think about what I wanted to achieve for the year. I always take February off from making videos, so that's a good month to sort of get my priorities right. And I'm going to do the same this year. So as there's 10 months left of the year now, I've picked 10 things, 10 resolutions or things to do in 10 months. 10 goals, 10 resolutions, 10 things to do. And last year I did exactly the same, and I will link that video down below if you'd like to sit through it, then please do, but I am going to review those things here. Last year, set 10 things, did 3.5 of them. Now, I'm not going to count that as a failure because I succeeded in doing 3.5 things off of that list. So yes, I didn't do the majority of the things on the list, but I've moved some of them forward to this year. I've scrapped some of them because they aren't a priority for me anymore. And yeah, I'm just I feel pretty chill about it. I feel like this is a great way for me to do my New Year's resolutions and to set goals for the year, and I really enjoyed doing it last year, and I feel like I'm going to really enjoy doing it this year. So let's check in with last year. So obviously last year when I filmed this video, it went up on the 4th of March, and the world, the apocalypse hadn't begun by the 4th of March, so I was quite, like, I had quite a lot of things on that list that actually by the end of the year were almost impossibilities. So yeah, it was a bit of a strange year last year, which is another reason I'm not that I'd be beating myself up about it anyway, but another reason why only doing, don't say only, doing 3.5 things on that list, because a lot of these things were a bit optimistic, let's say, based on the state of last year. Now this year so far is much the same as last year. We're still in lockdown here in England, still can't go in people's houses, still can't go to the shops. These are things that I agree with. I want to see the back of COVID. So yeah, so although there's things that I'm going to be able to do this year, we've still got a bit of time restrictions, and who knows what the rest of this year is going to look like. So let's talk about last year. So the first thing that I had on last year's list of 10 things for 10 months was to give blood. I did not give blood last year. I think maybe because, to begin with, just going anywhere sort of clinical was a bit of a frightener for me anyway. But apart from that, to be honest, it just slipped off my radar. It slipped off my radar, but I really think it's an important thing, and I will be adding it to the list this year, so more on that later. Another thing I didn't do is I planned to do some voluntary work, and I didn't do that. Again, slipped off my radar. I had enough going on just doing my actual job and things like that. What had happened is, on the run-up to the apocalypse beginning, lockdown happening, the pandemic happening, is that I'd been in contact with a local cat protection league, voluntary, like, cat sanctuary, and we'd been in talks about that. Now that actual cat sanctuary is based in someone's home, so when it came to voluntary work, they decided not to go ahead with the voluntary work while the pandemic was happening, because, well, to begin with, we weren't allowed in other people's homes anyway, but yeah, I think they wanted to keep their home safe, which is completely understandable. But I need to get back in touch with them and find out if there's an opportunity for me to maybe join them a bit later on in the year, if they still need volunteers, etc, etc. So yeah, so that was underway, and I will be bringing that forward this year. Another one was go to the cinema by myself. I can't even go to the cinema with someone at the moment. David managed to go to the cinema twice by himself. There wasn't many, if any. I think maybe one film released last year, and due to cinemas not being open. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, all being well, they seem to think that by June in this country things will be back to normal, so there is a chance that I could go to the cinema by myself in the second half of the year. Maybe, let's see. Next up was something I did complete. I completed the Couch to 5K program. I was really pleased with myself that I managed to do that. It was already underway when I made the video. I just completed week 3. So yeah, I completed 9 weeks of Couch to 5K training. Really, really delighted with myself about that. So a big tick for that. I started doing it again in September with like you guys on board. I set up a hashtag and was doing it on Instagram stories, and that was going really well. And then I sort of injured my hip, and I never got to the bottom of that, and it is feeling a lot better. So that the last time I went for a run, I think, was in October last year. So it started in September, and I think I stopped it around October because my hip was just so bad. Now, more on this later, but I would like to give Couch to 5K another go this year. Something else that I completed was cross-stitch something and frame it. And here is that very cross-stitch thing that I cross-stitched and framed. This is the very same thing that I showed in that video. This is a quote from The Handmaid's Tale, which says, "Don't let the bastards get you down," with a little bit of lovely floral embroidery underneath on some red Ada, very Handmaid's Tale. And this is framed and put on the corner of where my red books are, facing outwards on my bookshelf. So yeah, was very, very pleased with myself for that. Something I did not complete, and there'll be more on this later, is I'd selected a range of cookbooks that I had that I'd either been given as gifts or I bought myself or the publisher had sent me. I think there was 8 cookbooks, and I wanted to cook at least one thing from every single one of those cookbooks. I knew when I went into this that this was quite a big ask, and I just never got around to it. I never I did some cookbooks, and like I'd look through others, and yeah, I just didn't do it. So, but there is an element of that coming forward to this year, which I will get onto later. Another one was which I've said, so this is where the half comes in, because one of the things I wanted to do was go screen free for a week. Now I knew this would be difficult anyway, because I work and I wanted to sort of like, how would I go screen free for a week when I work at a computer, when I make YouTube videos, I have to film them and edit them and things like that, when a lot of my sort of socialising, obviously over the past year, has been done over the screen, Zoom, FaceTime. That's the only way I was seeing like my sister and my niece and things. So yeah, last year wasn't the year to go screen free for a week, but I did have screen free weekends over Christmas. I went completely screen free over Christmas, which was lovely. So from Christmas Eve until the day after Boxing Day, I didn't look at any social media or anything like that. So yeah, I'm giving myself a half tick for that, because although I never went screen free like specifically for a week, I definitely went screen free for periods of time last year, and I was pleased with myself for doing that. So David's just padding around. I love him padding around on his little feet. Next up was something I did do, and that was do some creative writing. So I had planned to sort of like get over my cringiness of doing creative writing and do a little bit of creative writing, and I did. I wrote some little passages, I wrote some little sort of, maybe they could all be linked actually, with the same characters and things like that. So yeah, I completed that. Then again, wanted to go to a museum, didn't get to do that because of the pandemic. And then lastly, I wanted to crowdfund something, and I just, again, slipped off my radar, never did it. So there we go. So those are the 10 things that I'd set myself last year to do, and as I said, I did 3.5 of them. And then I've got 10 resolutions for the rest of this year as well. As I said, I've brought some of them forward, ones that I didn't complete last year, and I'll go through them now. So the first one is, I'd like to learn a bit more French. Now, I did French to GCSE level at school, so I did French until I was about 16. The French you learn in school probably isn't the most helpful French. It's definitely not conversational French. It's definitely more like talking about what you do at school, like maybe a little bit of conversational, but not like super helpful. And my parents have a place in France, and when we go there, we used to go out for lunch with, I mean, I'm saying we used to, this is like literally about 10-12 years ago, go out for lunch with some French neighbours, and we'd have sort of like stilty conversation. They can speak any English at all. My mum and dad's French isn't great. My dad sort of can speak a little bit more, and my mum can understand a little bit more. I'm definitely more of someone who can understand what's being said. If there's French speaking moments on telly, I quite often know what's being said, but I'd like to get a bit more confident in that, and with the aim to read a book in French. So it doesn't have to be like a really, really confusing book. It could be a simpler book read in French. So that's not the goal for this year, but that's the ultimate goal, is to be able to read a book in French. So in order to get back in the sort of like French and learning a language, you have to be in a certain headspace, which I haven't done for years. I've started Duolingo, so I started that a couple of days ago, where I do 10 minutes a day on that. And I'd love your help to, if any of you are French speakers or have tried learning French, if you've listened to any podcasts or anything that's helped you, I'd love to do that. So maybe I'm going to start listening to some podcasts, got to look into this, and yeah, get some books out the library, or buy a book that's going to help me with the French. But yeah, so far the Duolingo is helping me, and when you start Duolingo, which is an app on my phone, and you can learn so many different languages, and a lot of like endangered languages as well, which is amazing. but when you go there, they have to set your sort of like skill level, and actually I remembered a lot more than I thought I did, so I was quite pleased with myself. So yeah, the ultimate goal is to read a book in French, but at the moment it's just to sort of like just keep learning French all the time. Just like at the moment I'd like to do it daily, but if it's sort of it's a novelty to me at the moment, so if it gets down to weekly, that's fine, but just to constantly be trying to learn a little bit more French regularly. Next up, and this is a sort of move on from last year's resolution or goal that didn't work out, and that was the one that I had where I was cooking from, I wanted to cook from those 8 different cookbooks. One of the cookbooks that I mentioned was East by Mira Sodha. This is a book that my sister bought me for my birthday, not last year, the year before, and I often look through it and like, oh, lovely, oh god, that looks delicious. And I said to myself, and as part of the Reading Women Challenge, is that I wanted to cook my way through this cookbook. So one of the prompts in the Reading Women Challenge, which is a reading challenge that I'm taking part in this year, is to read a book of a woman, read a cookbook from a woman of colour. And this is this, and I thought, well, better than read it, I'm gonna start making stuff from it, and I've made really good progress, and I think this is because I've put no pressure on myself to do this. So I've made almost 30 recipes. I made my 29th recipe this morning, kimchi pancakes, if you were wondering, yeah, I've been having a lovely time. Haven't been taking any photos, haven't been putting it on anything, haven't been sort of saying, oh, well, you've got to cook this many recipes this week and things like that. Just basically slowly popping things on my click and collect shopping delivery as and when, and just, yeah, I've made 29 things out of this so far. So yeah, I'm very much on track for this, and yeah, I've been loving things. There's only been one shitter in the whole thing, and that was tempeh. So out of 29 things, where's that tempeh thing I made, which was disgusting? Tempeh with pak choy and tomato sambal. This is what it looked like. David and I, we do not like tempeh. So yeah, but we're really big fans of tofu, which I was so surprised. But the texture of it reminded me of like, I don't know, like, it was really soft, spongy, almost like bone marrow. Or I remember when I ate fish, like roe, I can't remember what fish it was, but I remember having like a fillet of fish, and then to the side of it was this roe stuff, and it was really like spongy, and that is what tempeh tasted like to me, and we both hated it. So yeah, won't be making, if there's other things in here with tempeh in, I haven't actually looked forward, because that's another thing. I'm not really like going through the thing all the time. I'm just sort of like opening it and thinking, oh yeah, I would like to make kimchi pancakes with spinach salad, like I made this morning. So yeah, that's going really well, and yeah, that I should definitely be able to cook my way through this for the year. The next one is complete Couch to 5K again. So as I said, I completed Couch to 5K last year. Brilliant, finished that around May time. Then wanted to start it again in September, and got you guys involved, anyone who wanted to take part. And then something happened with my hip, I don't know what, but I was unable to continue with it. So I was really disappointed. And something I found after I completed Couch to 5K the first time, because I was so used to sort of going out and doing the running that I was being told to do in my ears, and picking my soundtrack that I was listening to and doing that. When I completed Couch to 5K, I was all at sea. I didn't know what to do with myself. I tried to go for a run, but I couldn't really do it. Did like one run in between. I definitely need a program to keep me going. So I thought I would start again this year, and I've done run 1 of week 1. I did that last week before last. I was off on a Friday, and I need to pick it up a little bit more. I'm filming this around the same time that I filmed it last year, so at the moment it is a bit harder to go because it is getting darker, but the clocks go back at the end of this month, so there's every reason that I should be able to complete this, and I will complete it again, I'm sure. And another one that I'm bringing forward from next year is do some volunteer work. As I said, I was in the process of getting some volunteer work set up, and then the pandemic hit, so I need to get back in contact with those guys and find out if that's something I can still do, because I'd love to volunteer with the Cat Protection League. That's where we got Minnie from, yeah, I would love to do some work. Number 5 is dedicate 1 day per week purely to Lauren and the book stuff. So this is something that I don't think is just going to like kick off and it's going to be working straight away, because I need to do some working out with work and stuff. So in an ideal world, I'd love to go down to 4 days a week working, and then use the other day in the week that I'm not working to dedicate to not just the channel stuff, but like coming up with ideas, reading, my Instagram, Patreon book club. I've just started a new perk on my $10 tier where we do like an hour read along every month, and I'd like to have some dedicated time for that, because I love doing this. You all know I love doing this, but it's really hard sometimes to fit it in between work and life and things like that. And what with the world hopefully opening up a little bit more, I've struggled when the world hasn't been open up enough to make like dedicated time to this channel. So it'd be really great if I could do that. So that's got a lot of that's definitely a work in progress, because I need to speak to people at work, find out if it is possible for me to go down a day a week, etc, etc. So big hope for that one. Really hope I'm able to complete that one, but we'll see how we go. And then 3 more that I'm pulling over from last year are Give Blood, which I wasn't able to do last year, go to the cinema by myself, which I wasn't able to do last year, and go to a museum, which I wasn't able to do last year. So yeah, all of those things. And hopefully as the world opens up a little bit more, those are things that I'll be able to do. And the last 2, the first one is do some art. Now that's very vague, but definitely I've been getting a lot more into sort of like art and sort of craftiness. David and I did some, we've done some air drying clay and made some little tea light holders and made a few candlestick holders. At the moment we're in the process of making some sock caps out of socks. So I don't suppose I mean, oh, I did a big massive paint by numbers. Where's that? I think it's behind me. Do you want to see it? Minnie got me this for Christmas. It took me over 16 hours to do, and I did this. So yeah, and I really enjoyed doing that, and I want to do more art. Now, I've always considered myself not a very arty person, just because I'm not particularly good at it, but that doesn't mean that you're not particularly good at it. It's, what's the word they say? I don't mean subjective. It's like each to their own, isn't it? What you enjoy in terms of art might not be what somebody else enjoys. So I've put do some art. It's very vague, but I want to do some art. I don't know what. We'll see how it goes. And then lastly, and this is one that's going to take some sort of like looking into, but I'd love to get some better quality sleep. And I know that everyone's got a lot on their mind at the moment. Everyone had a lot on their mind last year, but just before Christmas, my God, I was so stressed out. I think that was partly due to we'd been told that we could spend Christmas Day with a small group of your family, and there'd been loads of stress around that, because that meant we'd only be able to see like my side of the family or David's side of the family. So we were stressed out because we didn't want to let anyone down, and we were going to have to let someone down. Then that decision was made. A little bit of light relief, could take a deep breath, and then got told that that wasn't going to happen for the right reasons. I'm understanding, but like I'd really been looking forward to like spending time with my sister on Christmas Day. So like very stressed before Christmas, and this resulted in every time I went to bed, I was literally laying in bed, my shoulders felt like they were up here. The bit that had like the bit where your neck connects to your head just felt like someone was grabbing it, and I just felt so stressed out, and I would wake up so tense, like in so much pain, where I just had the most tense night's sleep. Now that tended to go away for January, and it's recently been creeping back. And last night I was laying in bed and I could feel my shoulders coming up here, and when I wake up in the morning my chest hurts, my arms hurt, and I was just like, I've just got to stop this. Now I know this is probably related to my sort of stress again at the thought of the world opening up and how comfortable I feel with that, and like, am I going to be expected to work, like to go back to work and it will be normal? Are people still going to be wearing face masks? I know I definitely will be, but other people won't be. Am I going to be expected to go into people's houses? Am I going to be like sort of scoffed at if I don't want to go into people's houses? Like there's just so much sort of like round up at the moment that is causing an amount of stress, and I think that's why my sleep isn't great. But I really would like to look into getting some better quality sleep, because I can't keep doing this. I can't keep waking up feeling all stressed and like wanting to do this all the time to stretch out my chest and stuff. So definitely need to look into that, need to think about how I can get myself some better quality sleep, and yeah, that's going to be an ongoing project. It's quite strange. I wonder how measurable that is. I suppose I'll know it if I'm just getting better sleep, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. So those are 10 resolutions for 10 months. Let me know what you think of my resolutions. Let me know if you think they're achievable. Have you made resolutions or goals for this year? How are you doing, or have you set them from now? Would love to hear. And I'll see you all again soon for another victory video. Goodbye.